oftentimes we can see from our conversations that we have on our socials that there's certain things that you ask questions about that you obviously want us to go into. And one of such matters shows up today in the Standard. Whereas Senate has sounded alarm over things like fuel prices, hikes, and consumer abuse, the question also then comes to us on page 8, the very next page, about how they're facing scrutiny as quorum hitches disrupt House proceedings. So certain things cannot happen, even if a bill has been raised. So we know how it works, that you raise an issue, and it usually comes up as an amendment or as a fresh bill. Now, it needs to go to reading and it needs to go to debate before then, whether it's given a nod or it's not. But the debate in the House cannot happen if the quorum is not there. So do we see a direct relation between things being done and the people who are present in the House? Let me give you some of the information. Senators are facing mounting scrutiny as chronic absenteeism in both plenary and Senate committee meetings raises questions about their commitment to their constitutional mandate. The situation has been particularly critical during Wednesday morning sittings when cabinet secretaries are expected to appear before the House to answer questions. These sessions have been repeatedly adjourned by Senate Speaker Amason Kingi due to lack of quorum. The dual challenge of both senators and CSs failing to attend sittings is undermining the Senate oversight role. Question time sessions, once seen as a key accountability mechanism, are steadily losing relevance as delays render responses outdated. Now, said one senator, when CSs appear before the House to answer questions and to have and we have a quorum hitch and the House adjourns, they may get another chance several months later, by which time the responses are stale and overtaken by events. And so, of course, off the top of my head, I have to ask, is this intentional? Because if your job is to appear at plenary or committees to discuss key matters and you are not there and things are not done, but somehow we keep moving without it, then we have to ask the question, why you are actually there? And why do we have some committees working and others not? Why do we have a situation whereby a constitutional mandate is actually then not being seen or lived out? Where are they? You can't say that senators have gone to their because they don't have constituencies. What is it that they're doing? If you're not in the committees and you're not in the House on the days that you're required to be there, where are you? What are you doing?
You don't do. When you look up what the quorum is 15.
Out of, okay, let's even say 47.
Yes.
Because we know that there are 67 senators, 20 of those are nominated. They can't vote on certain things. So your vote head essentially is 47.
47.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we're talking about a House that is unable to get that 15, let's just say for the House to move, for you to be able to discuss important issues. And one asks the question then, if even on days when cabinet secretaries are there to respond to queries, remember, cabinet secretary is not there, is there to respond to matters of national interest, and we are unable to meet the necessary threshold for that business to be conducted in house. Now, one also looks at if we're reporting this right now, for how long has it been happening? And what does that mean to the quality of services that wananchi have gotten from these senators? Because at the end of the day, there has to be ROI, return on investment. Because if you are not in the House, why are we keeping you there? If today we see that the Speaker of the Senate is raising concerns, is raising the red flag on this matter, when did they start and what has he done about it, other than just coming to tell us that there is a problem in the House?
Or, I mean, are you satisfied with saying that there's no quorum and then we just let it go?
We just let it go. That's the thing.
And I think that could be the problem, that a lot of other issues stem from something like this. If that months down the line, certain things have not been debated, questions have not been answered, CSs, for example, in terms of their spend and the oversight issues that senators would then bring up over their operations, if those are not addressed, then it is very easy to point to the reasons why certain people cannot be held to account, certain things cannot be brought under scrutiny, because they are not there.
They're not there.
There's no magic to this thing. Yeah. You are not there. You are unable to fulfill your role. So if the question comes up, then one really does have to ask that question. We can get down to the brick and mortar of it here that say, if you are not sitting in committees, if you are not on plenary, Senate machinani, if you are not in the plenary having these discussions, debating over these matters, asking for accountability on certain issues, if you're not doing that, where are you?
You see, this is where then you look at the behavior of senators. Because if we sit here, we will say, okay, fine. When you sit, you will see, let's mention them, senators that you see across,
all the time. You see them in the House.
The Cherargeys, the Sifunas, you talk about, who else? Hey, no, Chachivo.
The ones that we see.
The ones.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Every now and then,
Onyonka,
Senator Onyonka. You see
Halwale.
Boni Halwale. You see Veronica Maina. Interesting enough, though she's nominated, but you see her in the House. You see nominated Karen Nyamo. Unfortunately, saying what she shouldn't be saying. You see.
That's how bad it is.
Oh Lord, you see Catherine Muma in the House. If we have to do this, and I think it's every now and then we do see Senate Majority Leader Aaron Chariot. You do see hey, God in heaven. You see Senator from Makwene County is
Manzo.
Dan Manzo. You see the senator for Kitui County every now and then. You see the senator for Mombasa County every now and then.
But you see, from the word Gondu, you're able to pick pathetic performance, And if they are not in plenary, they are not in committees, they are not in Senate Machinani, because we also know Machinani is usually the entire house that is taken to this county. So that happens once in a while. But where you will see these people is in caravans where the president is. You will see them campaigning. You'll see them do all manner of things than be in the house where they're supposed to do their job, where they're supposed to deliver to the people of Kenya. Because remember, once you are in Senate, fine, you're representing your county, but you are there to serve the people of the Republic and ensure that counties do get the services that they ought to get. So if, say, the rules of the game say that you are not supposed to leave you're not supposed to miss 8 consecutive sittings, right? But you see individuals who would come, they would miss 4, come for 2, then disappear for the next 4, then come for 2, so that they don't meet the threshold of 8. What is the Senate then, through its standing orders, doing to ensure that people do not take advantage of the rules on a technicality? Because if I know, if I go 8, right, I will be kicked out. I will miss 4. I will show up for 1 or 2 and disappear for the next 4. What is the Senate doing to ensure that does not happen? Because it is one thing for the Speaker to complain, but how is he acting to address the matter? And then again, you go to the political parties. What is their role in ensuring that these senators who are elected through their parties get to be in these houses, get to be in these spaces and perform? Because at the end of the day, the performance must be traced back to the political parties. But if political parties as well do not insist on proper behavior of their members in these houses, the reason why we see all this mess.
I think we need to finally be able to connect inaction and then retrogression.
Yes.
It's time that we see things that are going on systematically for you to be able to understand why things don't happen. Look at the issues that we ask often about the reports that the Auditor General puts in place and the control of budget, where they say that, well, this amount of money is missing, and that the pick or the pack sits and they say, well, this is the result of the reports that we've put together over time. And then now the onus then lies on Parliament. How many times has Nancy Gavongo's office said, you know what, now the responsibility is on Parliament for us to see some kind of action? That when she says that we're unable to account for this money, We cannot find it. There seems to be misappropriation. This amount of money there's a gaping hole in the budget up to 50 billion. There is a gaping hole up to 11 billion. We can't find this amount of money. And she says, you know what? The onus then lies on Parliament. This is the house that she's talking about.
Yep.
It's for you to then recommend. Also, remember, one of the things that the PAC committee chair, Senator Kajwang, told us, he said, our hope is to then be able to get up to date with some of these things, because unfortunately, you're doing work on previous periods. Our hope is then to be able to get up to date, because then what that allows us, and he actually did make a commitment, what that allows us to do is it comes and says, excuse me, Dennis, there's an 11 billion shilling hole in your accounts. What we're going to recommend and follow up with is coming and saying investigative authorities need to actually do something about this, because if your name is attached to a hole, either you fill it up or we ask you to sit it out for a minute. And he said, you know what, it is their hope, but it becomes very difficult for them to recommend investigation towards prosecution if they're not even up to date, which makes sense. But if you're going to compound the issue by not even showing up to bat, then we have a problem. But I'm still asking the question, maybe somebody can tell me, where are these folks going? If we say that, okay, guys, and you know, the Senator Edwin Sifuna told us that you guys can't pay me 1 million shillings every month, and I get the things that I get a mortgage, I get a vehicle, I'm comfortable. He said it here.
Yeah, he said it here.
You guys can't pay me the kind of money, and then I fail to show up. Okay, that's great. But what about the people who, in actuality, are failing to show up? We can see the direct result of this right here. Complained about by the Senate Speaker, and said, you know what, it makes it then very difficult for us to do our work. If now we call a CS and then there's nobody to talk to him, if they show up, that is. And so when they finally show up, there's nobody to ask him or to put him to task or certain things, because we cannot have a conversation without quorum. It's the rules.
It's the rules.
That's when you guys hear standing orders, it's a fancy word for saying these are the rules of the House. Now, if that cannot happen, what are we doing? Are we surprised then that things take so long to get the caboose moving? Are we surprised? We shouldn't be.
I'm not surprised, because let's look at the roles of a senator, right? Protect county interest. Under that, what are we supposed to do? Represent and safeguard the interest of counties and the governments, ensure devolution works effectively across the 47 counties. Now, there is oversight of county funds, oversee how money allocated to counties is issued, includes funds from the National Treasury of Kenya, and senators question governors and county officials on spending and accountability. We also have lawmaking, right? And that is legislation. Participate in making laws, especially those affecting counties, review, amend, and pass bills concerning county government's revenue sharing and devolution. We have revenue allocation, determine how national revenue is shared between national county governments, and we have impeachment role. That one, they have performed. That one, they always show up. When it comes to impeachment, that one, you don't even need to ask questions. Then we have the representation. Each of the 47 counties elects one senator. Additional members represent women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And this is where it all goes down, representation. If we have members of Parliament in the Senate who do not show up to represent their members on the floor of the House, then who is speaking on behalf of Mwananchi? And we have oversight of national policies affecting counties. That includes the showing up of cabinet secretaries who need to be queried on specific issues that affect the counties. But here we have FCPA expert, right? John Badi would show up, but we do not have quorum to ask the questions that would affect revenue allocation, sharing of revenue to these counties. But the individuals who are supposed to ensure that this gets to happen are nowhere to be seen. Like I said, where do we see them? On top of Land Cruisers, campaigning at a time when they're supposed to be in these houses, making sure that they represent, they legislate, and they oversight.
I think we get to the point whereby you want to look at some of these numbers and you ask yourselves that in 2022, reform saw the Senate revise its standing orders, essentially its rules, to introduce Wednesday morning sittings for ministerial question time, but the intended gains have not been fully realized. So they said, you know what, so cabinet secretaries and the ministries that they oversee are essentially and not in a political manner, but are actually appendages of the executive. That what you must do then is you're going to push out the policy of this particular government. Now, if we have questions about what's going on with you, why is it taking a gazillion years to have passports out? Why do we see, for example, that, there's a divestiture of a certain private company, and where is that going to go? If you are not getting answers to these questions and then having the paperwork to back it up, then you're going to ask yourself that whether government is actually operating in the manner in which it ought to. I'm still asking that question, and I beg maybe somebody can tell us, and we'll probably have a few minutes where we can talk on the phone in a minute. Where are you? Because if I'm supposed to sit here and host a program and I'm not here 8 consecutive times, then probably you want to ask, is she on leave? No. Is she unwell? No. Where are you? And are you being paid every however so often to be there? So where are you? And that your contribution is necessary, because you went to the people and you said, I am going to represent you and oversight the folks who are spending your money. If you're not there, where are you?
No. Let's just read on the instances where the quorum bell had to be rung for these members of parliament to be there. So we have in effort to strengthen oversight, the Senate revised the standing orders in 2022, right? Now, on April 29th, Speaker Kingi was forced to order the quorum bell to be rung for several minutes in an attempt to reach the minimum number required to transact business. The effort failed. Right? Despite the quorum bell being rung. On that day, Labour and Social Protection CS Alfred Mutua was present and ready to respond to questions, while Mining, Blue Economy, Maritime Affairs CS Hassan Joho had sent apologies. He would not show up. Now, a similar situation occurred on March 4th when proceedings failed to commence due to lack of quorum, despite the presence of Agriculture CS Mutai Kagwe and Youth Affairs and Sports CS Salim Vuria. Now, let's just talk about the Agriculture CS, right? You talk about Agriculture CS. It is the counties where we see all these especially the agricultural counties, the food baskets of this country. And when you have a cabinet secretary coming in to respond on how matters to do with subsidized fertilizer, irrigation into these counties, being there to address issues to do with the post-harvest losses, we see our mighty senators are not there. Now, another adjournment occurred on March 25th when the House failed to proceed due to absent senators required to move business despite the scheduled appearance of 3 CSs. On April 1st as well, the Senate again failed to raise the required members, affecting appearance by Trade CS Lee Kinyanjui, Agriculture CS Mutai Kagwe, and East Africa Community Cabinet Secretary. And the list goes on and on and on.
You know what?
During that period, remember, you've summoned a cabinet secretary who's left their office to come to give you answers to queries that Senate has requested for. Members of Parliament knew, but they choose not to be there. Look at the wastage in terms of time and resources of the cabinet secretary, number one. But look at the loss Monenchi would have received in these queries being asked and answers being given. And if there are changes and rectifications that needed to be done, would have been done by members of Parliament being there to respond.
You know, when you talk about the quorum bell being rung, it just takes my mind back to... and you see where it takes my mind back to school.
Yeah.
Whereby...
Your first interaction with a bell. Or you're going to church.
Yeah. Because you're all over the place. Everywhere. So we need to bring you to order. Essentially, we need to tell you it's time. Hello. It's 10 minutes past 10. Recess is over. Come back to class. But even that, because when you heard the bell, you knew, snap.
It's time.
We need to be in class. Now, help me understand how even this bell that the speaker will ring, you people have decided that you're still not going. In fact, it is because you are not there. That is why they have had to ring the bell. Because the bell is an assumption that you're present. All we need to do is to remind you. You're somewhere in the building. Hello, hi. You come from your office and come to the thing. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
That's so sad.
It's time to start asking some serious questions here about what the Constitution actually demanded and assented to by Kenyans, because the promulgation of the Constitution in 2010 essentially meant, when that flag was hoisted up over Uhuru Park, that whatever was in that document, being the supreme law, is that the people of Kenya had assented to this, and that this was going to be the modus operandi moving forward, until you come to referendum when you say one or two things should be changed. But in the meantime, the status quo is maintained. So if you have to ring bell for grown men and women to come and do their job, and still they decided they're not going to, and then you leave Bwana Cherargei and Edwin Sifuna in the thing by themselves, we have a serious question to ask here. And you may be shy to ask, but then, are they needed?
Ndu.
Yeah?
Listen this. 17 motions and 18 petitions remain unresolved, while 15 petitions await committee reports. A further 503 statements are still pending before the House.
They will not be answered by Sifuna, Cherargei, Kajwang, and Onyonka, and maybe Veronica Maina.
By the quorum.
By the quorum,
enough
guys.
Numbers being in the House.
I want to hear, do you feel the impact of your senator? Ulikuwa wanasema kitu, Mr. Aseto.
Yes. You know, we're talking about a house where a while back, governors came up guns blazing that the Senate is requesting us to show up, and they said we would not show up. I don't understand how the same body that is always full of quorum whenever they're calling in governors is the very same body that is not available to query CSs. When you hear governors say that we are being tunaambiwa tutoe pesa, where people are outsourcing from us, one asks the question, why is there the appetite to have governors on? Why is there the appetite for governors to come and respond to these queries? And there is no appetite to be in the plenary, to be in the House, to respond to queries from cabinet secretaries, to legislate, to oversight, and to ensure that the counties do get that which they deserve. This one is opening the floodgates of people saying, aha, kumbe what governors have been saying is true. Optics matter.
Yes, what I was going to say, because it does matter that when, for example, there is a high-level impeachment, whereby we know that the Senate essentially is the one that tries the case. Why do we then not have quorum issues? Why do we have less than 50% when you need to be asking, for example, the CS Interior, what exactly is happening, whereby, people are still being abducted,
people are being killed in Kitui,
people are being killed in Kitui, or things like that, and that nobody can answer, so that you can come back and give an answer to the people. Because guess what? During political silly season, everybody stands atop whatever it is that they're standing atop and says to you, you know what? We are going to ensure that 1, 2, 3 doesn't happen. We are going to do 1, 2, 3. It is to the people that you are beholden. If we can just get it in our heads that they come to you to tell you that they will do 1, 2, 3 for you. And I don't even want to talk about nominated senators right now. I mean, they can sit in the corner for a minute. These 47 senators that you have given your mandate, when you go and vote 6-piece, this position is in one of them. It is an elected position. That means you have taken your sovereignty. That means you have taken your power and you have delegated it to somebody else.
A king is a king through the people.
And you have said, because we cannot have everybody in the kitchen, the people who are in the kitchen, please, on my behalf, go and ensure that 1, 2, 3 is done. Now, in exchange, we will pay you well. We will give you some amenities here and there. We can give you a mortgage. We can give you a a vehicle loan. We can make sure that you will be comfortable, so that you don't have an issue when it comes to dispensing your duties. All right. Now, amongst those duties, is that I don't even think the house, you're on a lower, upper, whatever. It's a bicameral house, and this is what happens: is that folks are responsible for legislating, they make the budget, they make the laws.
Yeah.
They're responsible for budget making, they decide how you're going to use your money, and then they're responsible for oversight, which is now what falls squarely with Senate. They are members of parliament, but they are not members of the National Assembly. Capish?
Yes.
Now, when one of your roles is to sit in committees and discuss how the current laws are actually playing out, and to say that we cannot have 1, 2, 3, but we insist on 1, 2, 3, the other, even within those committees, quorum is required.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the plenary, which is now where everybody, see that place where they're all kicking behind the seats? This was to understand. Where they're all kicking their legs when somebody makes a point, then we say doof, doof, doof.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the plenary where these discussions are being. Then people will raise point of order. Mr. Speaker, sir, what's your point of order? Those things that are being said in that place, where you are discussing certain things that will then either be amended or they will create a law whereby you will then operate. Now, I'm a spiritual person, but I don't believe in magic. It is not possible that you will, from where you are, imagine that somebody knows what you are thinking, and then it will magically find its way into the Hansard.
Security, parliament, and then Hansard. Shakara baba baba.
Mama say, Mama say, Mama goes. No, it has to actually happen. You actually have to be there for these things to take place. Furthermore, remember these people that you went to them and said that please give us your vote?
Yes.
They be watching, they're listening, or if they're not, guys, you better be.
You better be. You better be. You can't afford not to.
You know what? They know you are not watching, so they can get away with murder. It's true. Last week, everybody had their knickers in a bunch because a particular nominated senator said a certain thing.
Yep.
Do you know how many things passed that people have been saying over the last however long, and we've not been akin to listen and to hear? Hello?
No. We're talking about 503 statements that are still pending. 503 statements, even if you were to discuss a statement a day, that would take you 2 years for you to go through all those statements. I'm just laying it
pending.
They're pending and still counting. You know, those are just statements. We've not gotten to 17 motions or 15 petitions that are yet to be discussed. We're just talking about statements that are pending, 503. It would take you 2 years if Parliament was to sit every day, Monday to Sunday.
Yeah.
You get. But here we have a house that starts sitting on Tuesday to Thursday, because Monday and Friday watu wana relax. It's early weekend and tunapumzika kutoka weekend. You get what I mean? So what I'm looking at, ROI, $1 million bob every month in 5 years is 60 million. Kenyans are paying you 60 million bob to stay in that house to deliver for them. We are in this corporate space. If you do not show up, one thing will happen. If you do not even meet your hours, you've clocked in, you've not met the hours.
Yeah.
One thing will happen. You get dismissed, you go on disciplinary, or your salary is slashed. If these individuals do not show up in the house, they do not do their job. Bwana lipa mtu kwa kazi yenye amefanya. You show up twice, we just do the math. We will pay you twice. Because it does not make any sense why we are paying individuals who intentionally choose not to show up in these houses. Because if you don't show up, we do not need you. You have no purpose being in that house if you will not sit there to do that which Kenyans have mandated you to do. Story ya kukapa and paying people for work not done has to end. And Senator, Speaker, ikufikie. And I think Kenyans as well, it's about we even come up with a Citizens Bill or a Citizens Act that we push for that to be implemented, because hapana. We can't continue like that and expect that some miracle would happen, that manna would fall from heaven with good leaders. We equally have to look at people that we keep on electing, because if we're talking about 503 statements that are pending, this problem did not start today.
Also,
this problem started way back.
And you know what it does is that it discolors those who actually bother to show up.
Yeah.
So the few who are going to be there on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and actually do the work, go through and do the work, who sit in the committees without fail, who come to the plenary to discuss issues, what it does, unfortunately, is that it waters down your effort. Because what we know is that you can sit there and you can do the work, but then when it comes to the quorum that is required for certain things to move forward, even if you are there, you will not be counted. That's the sad thing that we're talking about right now. So we need to see the direct link between people not showing up and do their job and the retrogression that we face as a society, whether it is here, whether it is anywhere. That people are, I'm still asking, where are these folks going? Where are they? If they're not in the committee when the committee is called to do its work, because it's split. The representation is split between the plenary when there are issues to be debated upon, and then you now make decisions and then they are assented to, or the committees where some of these vital issues are being discussed before they're now brought to the main house. Where are you? Because you draw these emoluments. Because what are we talking about? Just in case you forget. You draw these emoluments. You've got a basic salary, you've got a house allowance, you've got market adjustments, you've got committee sitting allowances, car maintenance allowance, mileage allowance, medical cover, official transport reimbursement. So who knows where you're going? If you're coming back, you're getting money back for it. You could also earn up to 240,000 shillings extra per month in sitting allowances. You could earn this money.
Yeah.
And then you can imagine if the output, hey God, if the output was commensurate to the resource input. Has anybody ever come as a senator and said, excuse me, this month I've not been paid?
Nope.
Even if it has delayed or for whatever reason, has anybody come and said,
never,
excuse me, it's April, I've not been paid for February? No?
Never.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we need to see the direct link. So guys, this all comes back to the people. When you are hello? When you are voting, these are the things that we're asking you to focus on.
True.
Not the shenanigans of who looks nice or what they said that makes you feel a certain type of way. Who is doing the work? Who's doing the work? And who do you know that when put in that position is actually going to do the work? It matters because you went and you said this constitution and the way in which it has been put is how we want it to operate. Now the agents of ensuring that devolution works. Ensuring that constitutionalism is realized are these guys now that you say you cannot find in the Senate.
Ndu, you've asked where these individuals are. I reckon they do not give a hoot about delivering to Mwananchi.
And you can't say that they're SpiceFM because plenary sessions start at 10 o'clock.
10.
9, they're done by that time.
No,
all right.
No.
Okay.
SpiceFM ends at 10.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Room,
It's situation room, ends at 10. But Ndu, they just don't care. And I think this is the time where Mwananchi needs to look at these leaders for who they are. Because we can't also afford to, every electioneering year, we're looking at who is coming in with the latest car, who is coming in with unga and leso or mabati. We can't look at those things. It's about time. If we give someone an opportunity to sit in that house for 5 years and they're coming back for re-election, we need to ask the question, we elected you as senator for county Aseto and Sons.
Yes.
County, right? I need to look at the deliverables. What are the statements that you took to the House to make my life easy in this county? What are your contributions from the Hansard that I can say you participated in making my life easy? That you fought to make sure that my interaction with power through the county, through the governor, that the money spent in that county as allocated by the constitution, that has been allocated by parliament, that money was spent to the benefit of me and my people in this county. You have to be selfish as an individual from that county and ask these questions. Because you'll say, Governor hakufanya. But remember, there is a senator who's there to ensure that the budgets that have been approved by the counties have been approved and allocations have gone into that the senator follows up together with the MCAs to ensure that budget is realized. If we do not ask those questions as Kenyans, then we are letting ourselves down.
Because you know what, we need to make it, this is not political.
It is not political.
Because you need to, guys, I beg you need to make the connection between what is happening in Parliament and what is not happening in your pocket, in your house, on your plate, with your children, in the hospital. You need to make the connection with what is happening there and what is not happening, or what is happening in those places as concerns you and what is not happening in Parliament. Come on. You need to make the connection between the two. If you don't, that is why you'll be blamed tomorrow and say, well, it's the people at the end of the day who make the decision. There is a senator who is sitting today who is a former governor.
Yeah.
And under his watch, people's money was taken with the promise that their children were going to go to Europe to go to university.
Yes.
That person is a sitting senator today. And then you tell me, it was alleged. Now, that person is sitting senator today, and then you want to tell me that this person, I don't remember the last time I saw him in the plenary. I don't understand the last time I saw, which committee is he in?
Health.
He's in the health committee. Okay. It is the same health committee that's dealing with issues whereby you want to come and tell us, shut up. Shah is working, right? What questions have they raised? What issues have they sat on, died on that cross where they say, look at somebody like, if you want to move to the National Assembly, somebody who sits on the health committee of the National Assembly, Anthony Kibagen, who will say, I will die here.
I will die here. You will kick me out. I will still come back.
But I will still insist that you guys have to answer these questions. Okay. Do the same on the other side. Where these ones are supposed to be asking you the questions. Excuse me, Kenyans are asking, you spent their money. What did you spend it on? That if you had an operational house, that anybody who is accused of taking money, do you know what the law looks like? The law should look like anybody who is alleged to have taken money. I'm waiting for the time where I see a forward-leaning bill like, we need to insist, according to the law, we can debate it here and then push it to the National Assembly where we say, excuse me, money disappeared under your watch, come and go and sit down until we can figure it out. Where do we see such bills? And I keep saying, you can connect with what is not happening in your pocket, not happening in your hospital, not happening on your plate, not happening in your schools, not happening in your offices, with what is happening in the house.
In the house.
Also, the inverse is true. You can equate what is happening in all of those places with what is not happening in the house. You have to make the connection. It'll make this voting thing that everybody gets their knickers in a twist all over so much easier.
You know, the counties were allocated 380 something billion. Now they're asking for 405 billion shillings. Pause for a moment and think of what that ought to do. Because as we speak today, I will give a simple example which is easier to go to. SGR costed us 380 something billion, right?
Yeah.
Right? That is a national project. Now imagine all those billions, what that would do to your county and the people who are in charge in ensuring that that money is spent based off the budgets that have been passed by the county assemblies. You get what I mean?
Yep.
Because those budgets, the money that has been allocated to all these counties, have to be spent according to the budgets that have been passed by the counties now. Here we have a senator who's supposed to ensure that this is what you promised in your budget. We gave you this much money. Now, this much money we've given you, together with what you have collected, we are seeing you have done this, or we are not seeing what that money is doing at the counties. We therefore demand answers. If there is no answers, we then open investigations, we jail you and get you out of that seat. Because if you cannot work, we do not need you in that space. That is the role of what a senator brings to your county, and that is what they ought to do to ensure your life is affordable, is simple in your county.
Oi.
Can't be that all these billions every day that you're giving to counties just disappear. Yet we have individuals who are supposed to ensure that they are delivered, that value for money is seen, but every other time we are there clapping for them and calling them for harambes. Yet, if they just spent and ensure that hospitals are working, you would not be able to lose your dignity because you're doing what? Because you're calling for harambes. Your child would be able to go to school, to an ECDE, because there are budgets that have been passed and your money is being used where you're required.
Have you ever heard a day where Amason Kingi will stand up today and say, you know what, guys, I'm tired of this BS. You people are not showing up to work. You're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So shut the thing down until people get serious. That's the day when you realize that people are actually taking their job seriously. Yeah. We cannot have 4 people that I'm almost shouting at every day. The same 7 to 8. Okay, fine. Let's even make it many. Okay, 20. We cannot have the same 20 people that I'm talking to every day who are concerned on certain matters. But then suddenly when there's an impeachment motion, people can even sleep in Parliament. People can sleep at the Senate and stay until midnight. People that you didn't even... I was shocked the other day because I do watch the proceedings.
Yeah.
I saw somebody and I was like, wait a minute.
Unakuanga.
And she spoke, as in words came out of her mouth, as in she had something. And I was like, you mean to tell me that the people of the great county of X are represented by this person in terms of oversight? Wonder shall never cease. It is not possible that January to December, Monday to Friday, you sit and then every now and then you go and talk to somebody somewhere and that nobody even knows who you are. No, come on, Bana. You can't be taking people for a ride.
No.
It actually is enough. Let me tell you why the person who came up with that adage that knowledge is power, they did, because they understand. You know what?
Yeah.
If the people realize that you are being taken for a ride in terms of how the nation's money is spent, in terms of how laws are being made, if they know that it is you, Oga, you will not be there tomorrow. That's why it's power, because the people have the power to take you out. And in this sense, I don't mean take you out to another existence.
Take you home.
Bas, that is the takeout that I'm talking about. But people don't know. So they can wallow in ignorance because they actually don't know. It is important for us to be able to tell people that this is actually the role of this person.
Yeah.
This person who comes and gives you unga and a leaf of sukuma wiki is the person who is responsible for making sure that your money is being spent well, so that you don't have to suffer when you're taking your daughter to hospital, or that you don't have money to take your child to school, or that you don't earn enough and they're taking it away from your payslip. This is the thing they were talking about. Even you who doesn't have a payslip.
Yeah.
Even you who has to go to your farm in the morning and collect the one gorogoro of, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Of maize or whatever. If you understand that this is the person who is responsible representatively for your existence, my friend, you have all the power.
Ndu, I'm here to tell Kenyans this morning. It comes to you to give you a gorogoro of mahindi. Imagine if that senator ensured that agriculture, which is a devolved function, actually works in your county, you will have your own farm that is producing a lot. They are coming there to give you bursaries worth 2,000 bob. If they just sat and ensured that we have an education fund and that money actually trickles down to each and every single child in this republic, you would not need that 2,000 bob. If they just sat to ensure that hospitals that have been devolved by the counties do work, you would not need a Harambe for him to come give you 10,000 bob to ensure that you get the services you need in a hospital. Kenyans, when you have an opportunity to go and vote, think about all these positions and what they ought to do.
You guys, these positions that somebody's asking you to vote for them, these elective positions, it's not a walk in the park. It actually is hard work, and it needs people who are dedicated to a cause to actually have it done. It's not prestige.
Nope.
If you're looking for prestige, don't go into these and ask for these positions. It's hard work. For you to say 25,000 kilometers of road have been built, and this is the money that we use, for you to now then be able to dig through and say, where? Which ones are the roads?
Yeah.
And for real, if you didn't spend how many ever billion on these 25,000 kilometers of road, excuse me, give
Where's
us
the
back
money? Where's the money?
And insist on that being done.
Yeah.
If it is not returned, then somebody can go and cool their heels while they sleep on the floor and eat cabbage. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what governance actually means. Now, if you have people that you're voting for who are not doing that, then it is you to ask yourself the question.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.